Now, if I could just talk to you about Gods and Monsters, and how that came into being, and how you agreed to do the part, and what your thoughts were when you sort of first saw the script.
Well, it was a novel,
right,
called The Father of Frankenstein, written by Christopher Bram, an American, and that title was not used because Brendan Fraser, who was in the film, didn't like the idea that his fans might think he was slumming it and making yet another remake of Frankenstein. So they changed it to Gods and Monsters, and I think now the novel is now marketed under Gods and Monsters as well. And a friend of mine who is an agent for the book thought it would make a wonderful film script, and if it did, I should be involved. And when the script was written by Bill Condon, who had read the book and thought, agreed with the agent, he actually had the idea that Peter O'Toole might play it.
Okay.
And the agent said, well, if that was the case, the film would be an absolute flop. He couldn't be more wrong for the part and so on, and suggested me. And it was just about that time, I think, my film with Richard III had come out, and so people outside England were aware of me a bit more, and thought, oh, well, he's perhaps not just someone who shouts in the evening. And I read it, and it immediately appealed to me on a number of levels. It was a leading part in a film that was going to be filmed in Hollywood, which would be very intriguing. I liked Bill Condon enormously. It was a gay man like myself. It was an American movie in which I could use my own accent. And of course the story, on top of all that, was absolutely riveting and beautifully told. So it was just, it was tick, tick, tick all the way, really. I mean, I hadn't had a particular interest in horror movies, and I didn't know about James Whale. Although I'd seen his Invisible Man and liked it, and once I looked at his other films, of course I realised that he had a very interesting camp quality that he brought to his storytelling. I mean, the tongue was often in the cheek. And he was telling stories at two levels, one for the popular audience, but there was always a wing on the sides to those who were in the know about there was a jokiness which underpinned the...
But I don't know if you've seen the old Dark House.
Yes.
I think it's absolutely terrifying. And it's sometimes on Saturday mornings, sort of 10:30, and I showed my kids once, and they were absolutely freaked out. And I thought, God, this is really horrible, you know, the imagery and everything used in it.
But
over the top playing.
Over the top.
Over the top,
Thesiger, and was it Thesiger in that?
Yes. And what was that like working on that film? Did you sort of then go in to look at James Whale a bit more, or was there enough in the script for you to play the character as written?
But I long since realised you're onto a hiding to nothing when you say to someone who's toiled over a script, which is maybe an adaptation, why don't we go back to the original source material? That's what they've done. That's not really my job. So I take a script very much in its face value. But that said, and in the original script there was a bit more of the book. There was a long sequence of an opening at the Man's Chinese Theatre at Greta Garbo, and it was too expensive, we didn't do it. But James, you can still get in contact with James Whale, in that we went round the house where he lived and died. It belonged to Goldie Hawn, and she ripped out everything. There's no evidence of him left. But when we went, the current owner, the new owner, said to me, Bill Condon, and his designer, I think, and one of the producers, and Curtis Harrington, who had known James Whale when he was a young man, moved in, there was evidence of a ghost here, and it was very unsettling. It was the ghost of we decided that James Ware, who killed himself in the garden. We all got very excited. She said we had him exorcised.
So nothing left.
So she said to a group of people who would have loved nothing better than to meet James Ware's ghost that she got rid of it. And I eventually went to meet the man who had played the boy in Journey's End, which was the film that brought Whale to Hollywood. He directed it as a play here with Laurence Olivier, and then in the film with Colin Clive. David Manners he plays the young man in Journey's End, and he was I think in his 100th year lying on a bed in a hospice waiting to die. And in fact, when he left, he was just lying down. He whispered in my ear, said, "You can go back to Hollywood." He said, "You met David Manners on his deathbed," which is a joke because he was on his bed. Roddy McDowell, who knew Whale and knew
I didn't know that, right.
knew other people in the film. There was a sense in Hollywood that really we shouldn't be. We were being a bit hard on what's the film director, the sequence where with Princess Margaret and
I don't remember. Another director, Hollywood director.
George
Not George Zucker. George Cukor.
No, George Cukor.
George Cukor, sorry, okay.
Very hard on poor George, was the feeling. And that we should be stressing Whale being a gay man was, they didn't really like it all. Others thought it was wonderful, and it was a great appeal to me that at a time when gay rights were thriving but not really getting anywhere in that country and in this. Here was someone who could stand as a beacon, because I'm there he was in the 30s, openly gay in the 30s, quite extraordinary. Although he would have been surprised, I think, to find he was being lauded for something that he just took for granted. He was clearly an individual. I was actually more interested in all that than I was in the idea of Frankenstein connections, but they rebuilt the set for Bride of Frankenstein, and there was the characters all done up as they are in the film, and that was
no CGI, just all all done for real, properly,
and all done in the oldest working studio in Hollywood. It belonged to Pickfair, to Fairbanks and Mary Pickford, and it had its original glass roof because they, of course, used to
use the natural sunlight when they were. Okay. I mean,
not anymore.
I know you're not really a horror actor in the sense of perhaps something like Christopher Lee or whatever, but you've done a few things like The Keep was a very early film, I think.
Yes, it was. Michael Mann, yes. And I suppose Apt Pupil, do you know that? Which is an adaptation of a Stephen King novella, which is a very nasty story indeed about a Nazi camp commandant who's in sort of hiding in California and has his past resurrected, and but it's not strictly horror. Yes, The Keep. Rather let down by its monster.
Okay.
Didn't well done at all.
It's best not to see it sometimes, isn't it?
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
Although there is some wonderful photography in that. That was filmed in Wales.
Okay.
Betsy Coed in an old quarry, mine underground.
So unglamorous, very unglamorous location, but effective.
Well, it rained all the time in Betsy Coed. I nearly went mad. I was called time and time again and not used.
Oh dear. And then another one called The Asylum. That's a more recent one.
Asylum, yes.
Asylum. Now I haven't seen that, but that's nothing to do with the classic Amicus portmanteau horror film Asylum back in the 70s.
It's the Asylum in question is Broadmoor, and It's about Patrick. Who wrote that? Patrick. Well, you can look it up.
Yeah. Because you're a doctor in that, aren't you?
Yes. Patrick's father was a doctor.
Okay.
At Broadmoor, and as a boy he was brought up in Broadmoor.
Right. Okay.
And it was a very nasty story of a doctor who deliberately keeps a woman there in order that he can abuse her and eventually marry her.
Right.
Horrible story, really.
Yeah.
But it didn't work as far as the public was concerned.
Last question, I don't thank you very much for doing this. When you play horror or films with a horror theme, I presume that you're still playing it for real, to make it realistic, and there's no sense in which you think, oh, I'm doing a certain genre. I suppose the same for Lord of the Rings or whatever, that you're doing a certain genre, so it's a certain style of performance. Or do you always just look for the reality? I mean,
Well,
it's a silly question. I mean, is that a silly question?
You take it with the same seriousness as a performer as you would whatever it was. But my only judgment of a script is it good of its time?
Yeah.
Whether it's a pantomime or a Coronation Street or adaptation of Tolkien or X-Men, which are sort of horror movies, aren't they?
Yeah.
So I don't draw any distinctions as an actor. Well, you then go along with the style, and that will be very much up to the director if he might want it pumped up a bit and exaggerated, and you go with that. But in the post-Freudian age, actors are basically take characters seriously as real people, but if you're in a farce, the reality is exaggerated.
Yes.
If it's tragic, it's the same. So, you go with the style.
Yes. Scariest film you've seen? The Jimmy Savile story.
Well, someone's bound to make that.
Oh, I think so.
I would say the scariest film I've seen is probably Wizard of Oz. I mean, I didn't.
At an age of when? Oh. Hopefully that was when you were a young lad and not.
Well, I saw it when it first came out. Oh
gosh.
And Bambi, of course, is very, very upsetting. But I've never become a horror fan, but I know many people who are in Hollywood. I mean, they're crazy about them, and they collect all the stuff, and Peter Jackson, director of Lord of the Rings, he loves.
Well, he's done a few himself, hasn't he? So yeah.
If I'd seen them before I did Lord of the Rings, I don't think I would have accepted the job. No, he loves blood. Although there's no red blood in Lord of the Rings. In order to get the registration for kids to see it.
The Hobbit or Lord of the Rings? The Hobbit, probably. Or both.
They have black blood, but they don't have red blood.
I never thought of that.
Yep.
That's brilliant. All right, thank you very much.